There's something we all grapple with, isn't there? That tension between wanting things to happen right now, like immediately, and the deeper understanding that big things, truly significant things, often seem to unfold on a completely different timetable.
Yeah, a timetable that's not always, um, readily apparent to us. It's like there's a rhythm to life that doesn't always match the hurried pace of our own desires, our own kind of inner clock.
It's like there's this wisdom, this grand design operating on a scale so vast that we can only glimpse, little fragments of it at any given time.
Exactly. And it's beautifully captured in that ancient wisdom that there's a time for everything, a season for every activity under the heavens.
I love that. It's not just a poetic phrase. It speaks to something so fundamental about the way life unfolds, that there's an order, a flow to these major milestones.
Flow that we don't always fully grasp, especially I think when we find ourselves stuck in those inevitable seasons of waiting. Those times when the path ahead isn't clear or progress seems to have stalled.
And let's be honest, those seasons of waiting, they visit us all at some point. Whether it's a dream that feels perpetually out of reach or a situation where the answers just aren't coming fast enough.
Right, right. And it's in those moments of uncertainty, that this idea of trusting in a larger timing, a timeline that transcends our immediate desires, becomes so crucial.
So that's what we're diving into today. This idea of trusting in something bigger than our own limited perspective, our own need for instant resolution. It's something many of us struggle with, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. We live in a culture that's obsessed with speed,
Yeah.
with instant gratification. I
Yeah.
mean, we've got instant news updates, same-day delivery, the expectation of immediate responses to every text or email.
It's like everything's going to happen now, now,
Yeah.
now. And that mindset, it can really clash with the idea of patiently waiting for something truly significant to unfold in its own time.
Yeah. We're so conditioned to expect quick results, to feel like things are moving forward at a rapid pace. So when we encounter a period of waiting, it can be really jarring. It can feel like something's wrong, like we're somehow off track.
And that's when this concept of surrendering our own timelines, of letting go of that rigid grip on when things should happen, becomes so important, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And surrender, I think, is a word that can be easily misunderstood. It's not about giving up or resigning ourselves to, passively accepting whatever happens.
Right. It's not about sitting back and just hoping for the best.
No, no, not at all. Surrendering our timeline is about it's about a conscious act of release,
Hmm.
a letting go of our insistence on controlling the when and the how.
So it's more about shifting our focus, isn't it? From obsessing over the ticking clock to cultivating a deeper trust that things are unfolding as they should, even if we can't quite see the full picture yet.
Yeah. Exactly. And that shift in focus, it allows us to see that these periods of waiting, they're not empty spaces. They're not just these voids of inactivity where nothing's happening.
They're not just some kind of annoying pause button on life while we wait for our desired outcome to magically materialize.
Right, right. In fact, these seasons of waiting, they can be incredibly fertile ground for growth,
Yeah.
for personal growth, for spiritual deepening.
It's like we're given this space, this time to cultivate the qualities, the inner strength, the resilience that we'll need for what lies ahead.
It's like we're being prepared, we're being molded, we're being shaped for the next chapter, even if we don't realize it at the time.
And it's about, I think, aligning our will not just with what we want in this very moment, but with a larger purpose, a
Mhm.
deeper current that's moving us towards something greater than ourselves.
Absolutely. To kind of really bring this to life, make it a bit more concrete, I'd love to share an example of how this kind of long-term perseverance, this trust in a larger timing, can play out in the real world.
I'm all ears.
So imagine, a developing nation in Africa. And for almost a decade, a whole decade, just imagine that, dedicated community leaders, teachers, parents, they've been tirelessly advocating for education reform.
Wow, 10 years. That's a huge commitment.
It is. They've been working to improve access to schools, especially for children in rural communities. And you can imagine progress has been slow. It's been, two steps forward, one step back.
There must have been moments where it felt like their efforts were just disappearing into thin air.
Yeah, resources are scarce. And, there were probably times when they felt like their voices weren't being heard, that their work wasn't making any real
But
difference.
they kept going.
They did. They
Uh-huh.
held on to that vision of a better future for these children, the belief that their efforts, no matter how small they might seem, would eventually make a difference.
It's amazing, isn't it? That level of of dedication, of unwavering commitment to a cause.
It is.
Mhm.
And then in early 2025, after all those years of tireless work, the breakthrough came. The education reform bill was passed into law.
That's incredible after all that time.
Yeah. And think about the impact this will have on countless young lives. It's a testament to the power
Yeah.
of long-term vision, of sustained effort.
It shows that even when progress is slow, even when it feels like we're not making any headway, something might be happening beneath the surface. That change, real change, often takes time. It takes patience.
Exactly. And that the eventual arrival of that change can be all the more meaningful, all the more impactful because of the journey that led to it.
It's a beautiful reminder, isn't it, that sometimes the most important things, they take time to ripen.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And speaking of journeys, sometimes those journeys are deeply personal and they can be incredibly challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes the waiting, the uncertainty, it's not about some big social cause or a global movement. Sometimes it's about something much closer to home, something deeply personal.
Right. And I'm thinking of a story of a man here in California who was, well, he was wrongly imprisoned for over 25 years.
25 years, oh my gosh, for a crime he didn't commit.
That's right. 25 years behind bars for an injustice. And throughout that unimaginable ordeal, you know what kept him going?
It's hard to even fathom what would sustain someone through that kind of experience.
His faith. It was his unwavering faith. He talked about how he relied on daily prayer, on this unshakable trust that the truth would eventually come to light.
It's remarkable, that level of inner strength, of resilience to hold on to hope in the face of such incredible adversity.
It truly is. And then earlier this year, after all those years of waiting, new evidence emerged that completely exonerated him, and he was finally released.
Wow, what a moment that must have been. A testament to the power of hope, to the unwavering belief that justice, even if delayed, would ultimately prevail.
And his story, it doesn't end there. His experiences ignited a much broader conversation about justice reform, about the flaws within the system, and the urgent need for change.
His long wait, his suffering, it wasn't in vain. It became a catalyst for something much bigger than himself.
Exactly. And these two stories, they're so different in so many ways, but they both point to a crucial truth. A truth that's so easy to forget when we're caught up in our own anxieties and frustrations.
And what's that?
Delay is not denial. Just because something hasn't happened yet, just because it hasn't unfolded according to our preferred timetable, it doesn't mean it won't happen at all.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, isn't it? To interpret a delay as a rejection, as a sign that our hopes, our dreams, they're just not meant to be.
But what if those delays are actually an integral part of the process, part of a larger unfolding that we can't fully comprehend from our limited perspective?
What if those delays are actually opportunities for us to grow, to learn, to strengthen our faith, to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us?
Exactly. And that brings us to a question for each of you listening right now. What is it that you're waiting for? What dream, what hope, what longing is residing in your heart right now?
Take a moment to really reflect on that. And instead of viewing this season of waiting solely through the lens of frustration or impatience, ask yourself, how might this time be preparing me for what's to come?
What inner resources am I developing? What lessons am I learning? How is this shaping me into the person I need to be to fully embrace what lies ahead?
It's about recognizing that even in the waiting, even in the uncertainty, there's a purpose, there's a meaning, there's becoming.
And that ultimately, surrendering to a timing that's bigger than our own, trusting in a wisdom that extends far beyond our limited view, can bring a deep sense of peace, a sense of surrender, not in a defeated way, but in a way that frees us from the burden of trying to control every aspect of our lives.
So as we bring this deep dive to a close, let's try to carry that sense of peace with us. Let's remember that delay is not denial, that the things we long for, the dreams we hold dear, they may not have unfolded yet, but that doesn't mean they won't.
And that in the meantime, this very moment, there's an invitation to trust, to grow, to deepen our faith, and to embrace the journey, knowing that even in the waiting, something beautiful is taking shape.
A profound message indeed, and one worth reflecting on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, may you find peace and strength in the knowing that even in the waiting, even in the uncertainty, you are being guided, you are being held, and you are being prepared for all that is yet to come.